Addy, a heart
Healing.
full of hope.
Chapter
Ch.8.
8. During the next 3 weeks, Addy, Mama, and Papa worked harder than ever in their garden. Addy loved to see the little sprouts pushing up out of the earth. She pulled out weeds and kept the soil around the seedlings loose so they had plenty of room to grow. The day before the fair, Addy and Mama gently dug out some little seedlings Mama was going to sell at the women's booth. They carefully replanted the seedlings in small pots and lined up the pots in a basket. "I'll bring the basket over to the church," said Addy. "The children's group is meeting there again today. We made our spool puppets, and now we're going to paint them." The basket was heavy, and Addy had to walk slowly. When she got to the church, she went to the room where the children's group was meeting. She put the basket seedlings in a sunny corner and sat next to Sarah. "Oh, look," said Harriet. "Addy's been playing in the dirt again." "Hi, welcome." Reading from this book tonight. Addy started to say something sharp, but she bit her lip. Addy really had meant it when she promised Mama and Papa that she'd try to get along with Harriet. But it was a hard promise to keep. The children's group had met 4 times to work on the spool puppets and practice the puppet show. Every time, Harriet had been disagreeable. Addy could see that today would be no different. She picked up a spool puppet and began to paint it. "Oh, hi, how are you?" I'm reading from this tonight. We're on chapter 8. Hey, yourself, how are you doing? Hi, welcome everybody. I'm reading from this book, Addy, A Heart Full of Hope, and we are reading chapter 8 tonight. Thank you, I hope you're doing good too. "What's that puppet going to be?" asked Sarah. "I think this one's going to be a soldier," answered Addy. "I'll use the blue paint to make him a uniform." "A soldier?" snorted Harriet. "That spool puppet will look as much like a soldier as your brother does." "Don't talk about my brother that way," said Addy. "Why not?" said Harriet. Her voice was thin and high. "I bet your brother was never a soldier at all. My uncle." Addy cut in. "We're all sick about hearing about your uncle." "You're just jealous," snapped Harriet. "No, I ain't," said Addy, growing more and more angry. "You jealous of me? Because everyone liked my idea better than yours." "How could I be jealous of such a stupid idea?" Harriet scoffed. "That's what these puppets are. Stupid." She threw the puppet down that she had been working on, sending the spools scattering across the floor. "We won't sell a single one. We won't make any money, and it will all be Addy's fault." "If you think they're so stupid, then why don't you just leave?" shouted Sarah. Just then, Mrs. Drake rushed into the room. "What in heaven's name is going on in here?" she exclaimed. "Addy started it," Harriet accused. Addy glared at her. "No, I didn't. You did," she insisted. "It's all Harriet's fault," said Sarah. "Girls," said Mrs. Drake sternly, "you know better than to behave like this. And in church, too. We're supposed to be working for a common purpose here." She looked at the girls and shook her head. "You all need to learn that lesson. The fair is tomorrow, during the morning. I want the 3 of you to work together at the puppet stage. I hope that will teach you how to get along. Do you understand me?" "Yes, ma'am," said Addy, Sarah, and Harriet at the same time. Harriet turned up her nose and marched back to her seat. Addy sat down next to Sarah and picked up her soldier puppet and paintbrush. But her hands were shaking so much from anger that she couldn't hold the brush steady to paint. Addy dreaded working with Harriet so much that she felt as if a rain cloud had cast its gloom over the fair. But when she and Mama and Papa arrived at the park where the fair was taking place, Addy couldn't help feeling excited. She had never been to a fair before. She didn't know where to look first. There were pony rides, horseshoe games, and booths draped in red, white, and blue bunting. People were selling homemade preserves, donuts, and popcorn balls. Soldiers from Camp William Penn were laughing together and trying to win prizes at the ring toss. Addy could smell fish being fried and chicken being barbecued. Women were setting out loaves of bread and cakes. Nearby, some men were churning ice cream. A group of women were slicing lemons and stirring up huge pitchers of lemonade. Addy's mouth was starting to water. Papa went to help Reverend Drake, and Mama led Addy to a group of booths. In one, women had brightly colored quilts they were going to raffle. In another, they had set out pies to sell. "This is where I'll be working," Mama explained to Addy. "Oh, Mrs. Walker," exclaimed a woman at one of the booths. "I forgot to bring your seedlings over from the church." "I'll run back and get them," offered Addy. "I know where they at." "All right," said Mama. "You go on and get them, and be careful." Addy hurried back to the church and ran down the stairs to the room where she left the seedlings the day before. As she bent over to pick up the basket, she heard a funny sound. It sounded as if someone was crying, but the room was empty. But Addy was sure she heard the sound of crying. She went to the door of the broom closet and opened it slowly. Addy gasped. There, huddled in a corner, was Harriet. She was crying as if her heart were broken. Her face was hidden in her hands. "Harriet!" Addy said, surprised. What you doing here? What's the matter?" Harriet didn't answer. She just sobbed. Addy didn't know what to say. She could hardly believe this was Harriet. Harriet, who was always so haughty. Without lifting her face, Harriet blurted out, "It's my uncle. He's dead." Addy felt as if someone had hit her in the stomach. "What?" she said, shocked. "Your uncle? The one who?" She couldn't finish the sentence. "Oh, Harriet," Addy said with a sigh as she sank to her knees. She reached out her hand and gently touched Harriet's leg. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I truly am. I know you loved your uncle. I knew you were proud of him." Addy's dislike of Harriet started to drain away. Harriet was a girl just like she was, whose family had suffered terribly because of the war. Harriet lifted her eyes to meet Addy's. "He's dead," she whispered, as if she could not believe it. "I'll never see him again." She hid her face in her hands and cried bitterly. For a while, Addy just sat there, saying nothing. Finally, when Harriet was crying more softly, Addy said, "I'm sorry if I was mean about him yesterday." "It doesn't matter," said Harriet. "Nothing matters. You and me ain't tried very hard to get along," Addy said. "We've both been hateful and jealous, but it ain't too late to change. I'm sorry. I hope you believe me." Harriet nodded. She wiped her wet face on the sleeve of her dress. I'm sorry too," she said. "I was mean to you. I don't blame you for not wanting me around." "But we do want you, Addy. We need you. It's just like Reverend Drake said. We've got to work together. We've got to help each other. I know you're feeling bad, but will you come with me to the fair? You might feel better." When Harriet didn't answer, Addy went on. "Sarah and me can do the puppet show without you if you two shook up to come," she said. "But I sure hope you will come." She looked at Harriet and said kindly, "Nobody else can add up money as quick as you." So, picture of them. That's Addy. That's Harriet. "Will you come and take charge of the money box?" Harriet took a deep, shaky breath. "I'll come," she said. "Good," said Addy. She stood up and led Harriet into the sunny room, where she bent over to pick up the heavy basket of seedlings. Harriet surprised her by lifting one side for her. "Thanks, Harriet," Addy said. "Things sure is easier when somebody's helping you out." Addy and Harriet carried the seedlings from the church to the fair and over to Mrs. Walker's booth. Then the two girls hurried to the puppet stage. "Y'all finally here," exclaimed Sarah. "Come on and get to work. People already been stopping by. I already sold 2 puppets and 3 slide whistles." "That's good," Addy said. "Listen, Sarah, Harriet don't feel good. She's gonna sell puppets and watch the money box. You and I can do the puppet show." Addy and Sarah moved behind the stage, knelt down next to each other, and pulled a blanket over their heads. "What's going on with Harriet?" whispered Sarah. "Why is she acting so quiet?" "She's doing good just to be here," Addy said. "She just found out her uncle is dead." "Oh no," said Sarah. She shook her head. "That's terrible. She must be feeling real bad." "She sure is," said Addy. "I never thought I'd feel sorry for Harriet." "But I do," said Sarah. "Me too," Addy said. Suddenly, a voice called from in front of the stage. "Where's the show?" Addy and Sarah looked at each other. "We better start," said Addy. She took a soldier from the pile of spool puppets, and Sarah took a dog. The 2 girls made their puppets skip across the stage. And Addy said in a deep voice, pretending to be the soldier, "Riddle me this. If you found a chicken egg on top of a fence post, how could you tell where it came from?" Sarah barked like a dog, and she said, "I don't know." "That's easy," Addy made the soldier say. "Chicken eggs come from chickens." Addy and Sarah grinned at each other when they heard the people out front laughing. They told a few more riddles and jokes. Then Addy made the puppets dance, while Sarah played a song on a slide whistle. When Addy and Sarah came out from behind the stage, they were surprised to see that so many children had gathered. They smiled and bowed while the audience clapped. Harriet waited until the clapping died down, and then she said, "You can buy the spool puppets and slide whistles here. The puppets cost 10 cents each, or 3 for a quarter. The slide whistles cost 5 cents each." So many people wanted to buy puppets and whistles that all 3 girls had to hand them out, collect the money, and make change. By the time they finished with the last customer, a new audience had gathered, and it was time for Addy and Sarah to put on another show. It was almost 2 hours before they had time to take a break. "You were right, Addy," said Harriet. She was buying herself a slide whistle. "I can't believe how well the puppets and whistles are selling." "We're gonna sell them all," Sarah said as another crowd gathered and they had to get back to work. Just before the last show of the morning, Mrs. J came over to the puppet stage. "Well, I see you girls are getting along well," she said happily. "And your puppet shows are the hit of the fair. Everyone is enjoying them. Every child I see seems to be wearing one of the slide whistles." "We sure have sold a lot of puppets and whistles," said Harriet. "I already counted the money. We've made nearly $7. That's wonderful, Mrs. Drake said. I'll come back in a while to collect the money. Don't wait too long, Sour joked, or the money box gonna overflow. As Mrs. Drake and the girls laughed, Addy noticed a tall, older girl standing at the puppet stage. She was wearing a red dress. Her dress was nice, so Addy was surprised that she was carrying a big, dirty carpet bag. The girl put the bag on the ground next to the puppet stage while she picked up puppets, inspected them, and put them down. Hello, Addy said to the girl. Do you want to buy a puppet? I'm just looking, said the girl sharply. It's not against the law to look, is it? No, of course it ain't, said Addy. Just then, a large group of children arrived at the puppet stage. Addy and Sarah put on a show for the children while Harriet sold more puppets and whistles. After the children left, when Addy was selling a puppet to a soldier, she saw the tall girl still lingering near the puppet stage. Then, she seemed to vanish into the crowd. When Addy turned to put the soldier's money in the money box, she couldn't find the box. She looked on the ground behind the stage, beneath the box of puppets, and next to the box of slide whistles. Where's the money box? Addy asked in a worried voice. Isn't it behind the stage? Asked Harriet. No, it ain't, exclaimed Sarah, looking around frantically. It's gone. Oh no, groaned Harriet. All our money. Somebody must have stolen it. Suddenly, Addy knew exactly what had happened. It was that tall girl, she said quickly. The one with the bag. I just know she's the one who stole the money. Sarah, go tell Reverend Drake. Come on, Harriet. Let's catch her.